do you got for us today?
This week in New York, it was primary week, and I was thinking about politics and markets, and I was thinking about Nancy Pelosi, of course, because what is Nancy Pelosi up to these days? She's one of our generation's most formidable, successful stock traders.
Yeah.
And sure enough, she's been doing some things recently here, so let's have some fun with this. Is there signal versus noise? Well, certainly Pelosi among a handful of Democrats and Republicans for the most part, and for what it's worth, Republicans have done a better job than Democrats at this. They've outperformed the S&P by a wide margin in recent years. Funny how that works out. So maybe none of this is noise, Jermal. Maybe it's all signal because these people continue to produce alpha. But I digress. Intel and Uber are two of the names that have recently entered the Pelosi stock portfolio. These were her first new buys since January, so there hasn't been a reason for us to talk about this. $6 million in new call positions. Now, the trades were made back on May 29th, but because of reporting structures, we obviously don't learn about this until June 23rd. So we're seeing them a month late, and that's obviously something to consider here. But I think the structure is worth paying attention to here. These are 200 Intel calls at $50 strikes expiring March 27, 200 Uber calls at the $50 strike also expiring March 27. The Intels cost about $1.76 million to replicate with a break even about $138 a share. And the Ubers are about a $496,000 position with a break even around 75. So Intel trading around 133, Uber's around 70. Both trades are sitting just under break even right now, and she has just about 9 months for this thesis to play out. But I think the first thing to understand about this trade is these aren't lottery tickets. And no, that's not just because she's Nancy Pelosi and she's one of these politicians who's outperforming the market. This is basically the way that Pelosi structured all of her trades in recent years. If you look at her book, she's not really reaching for things per se, but it's deep in the money, long dated calls that are behaving like leveraged shares with cap downside. So she's getting control about 20,000 shares of Intel and 20,000 shares of Uber at a fraction of the price for buying all those shares outright. And that's the part that retail traders often miss when they look at these headlines and when they try to copy these trades. The edge isn't the just hicker here. It's the fact that they're able to structure their positions in a cost-efficient, capital-efficient manner. So, gentlemen, maybe that's a signal unto it itself. We're looking at our own methodology of how we approach this market. For often, as opposed to taking 100 shares or 1,000 shares, we take one contract or 10 contracts in an options position. It's capital efficient, it's cost efficient, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. So not for nothing, Pelosi seems to be trying to structure her trades in the way that we ourselves would try to structure these trades if we were going out in the world with these views. But Intel is the more interesting of the two positions, of course. Mike, you bring up going to Chicago O'Hare with Uber. Uber and Lyft both have astronomical prices these days, so that's why I just don't fly myself. Let's start with Intel. We say it's politically charged in August 2025, thanks to the CHIPS Act under the Biden administration, plus efforts under the Trump administration. U.S. government takes a 10% stake. It owns about 433 million shares at $20.47. So the stock now trading at 133 has done pretty good for the taxpayers around here. We see that the fundamentals are continuing to go up with the Q1 guidance up at like 13.6 billion right now. Analyst expectations for the shares are trade up around 160, 170 from Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. Everyone's feeling pretty bullish right now. So when you look at these trades, guys, I'm not looking at trades that seem like they're reaches. They're kind of in consensus view. The signal here is not necessarily that it's INTC and Uber. For the trades that Pelosi's adding to her portfolio, the first trades that she's done since January. The rub is that she's doing it in the tasty methodology, capital efficiency, cost efficiency. And so even if you're not following some of these politicians, because there are stock trackers that go into for various ETFs and to copy these trades out there, most people figure if the folks with the hands on the economic levers of the world making investing decisions, perhaps it's a good idea to follow those investing decisions. But it's really the structure that I'm more interested in here. And that's the lesson for retail traders on today's live signal versus noise.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? As far as whether it's signal or noise, I think you broke it down eloquently. And that's always been the thing with Pelosi trades, right? Does she have her finger on the pulse of something that we just don't know about, right? That's really what the essence of signal or noise, signal versus noise is. And yeah, this is major signal, I would say. Going out to March isn't really so much the thing. It's just a question of the two names you just chose. I literally just saw something on Twitter. Sorry, Chris, not to rub it in, but I mean, I have access to Twitter right now. I don't even know. I think this is true. It's a guy I've been following a long time, but he says the U.S. Department of Transportation are reportedly moving to remove requirement for brake pedals and driverless vehicles to clear the way for more robo taxis on American roads. Again, Department of Transportation, government, right? Intel, 10% stake from the government, right? And so that's where this comes in, especially with regard to Pelosi. She's not even in office anymore, and she's still making some of the greatest trades that we don't even know about. So I think that's why there's always the question of whether or not her trades are signal or noise. I don't think there's much of a question. It seems to be a lot of signal. And hey, I mean, unless there's a requirement, well, again, she's not in office anymore, but they've changed, I think, some of those rules. But again, these are further out trades. Again, it's not like she's doing weeklies on this and the stock takes off like it did yesterday. But there's nothing against going out to March and put these trades on. It's just very fascinating, right? It's like clearly she knows something.
One would think. But yeah, I would say if I'm buying Leap call options, I like to do that better in Uber because it's got much lower implied volatility. Like if you're in March of 2027, you can go, in the money and get that strong delta. You can go at the money, you can go out of the money, but you can get a ton of leverage here. Like these options are less than $1,000, just slightly out of the money in Uber. Intel actually likes selling premium here more because it's got twice the IV, 100% IV, and this is up 8 points pre-market. But I think it's interesting when you look at like the 120 strike, it'll probably be closer to the 130 strike when we open. But this is still going to be like a $700 option for $1,100 in buying power. And this is pre-earnings. You could roll this into the earnings cycle, move the strike out and down if you need to, if it sells off. So I'm probably going to go long premium in Uber, short premium in Intel. But yes, thank you, Chris. We always love to see these new news pieces hit the tape. And yes, something will probably happen before March 2027 in these products, if I were to guess.
One last quick one here. I saw something come in the chat, not related to the current conversation, but about how about China's gold. China has about 75 million troy ounces of gold in their holdings. That's valued at roughly 340 billion. So when you look at the math there, the mark-to-market value at the end of May was about 45.50 per ounce. But that's the best we can do because PBOC and SAFE does not report acquisition costs. They just report mark-to-market value of their gold holdings. So no idea what the average cost is of China's gold purchases, but interesting thought exercise. I can try to figure that out for later today.
Love it. Well, appreciate your time.